2016, has been taking proactive and practical steps towards attaining the Sustainable Development Goals. Today on Agenda 2030, we will be highlighting some of the laudable efforts by the office in a bid to further improve lives of Nigerians in Ekiti and FCT. Do stay with us. In an apparent demonstration of her commitment, the Nigerian government has, since the adoption of the SDGs, been implementing intervention programs and pro-poor projects across the country in a bid to achieve the goals. The office recently, in line with the objectives of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, unveiled a 208-bed model transit facility aimed at supporting women and girls in Ekiti State who have suffered abuse and violence to stand on their feet economically. This was in addition to other projects that were also commissioned in the state by the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, OSAP SDGs, and the state government. It was in every sense a gift for the season. As Nigeria joins the global community to celebrate 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, the federal government, through the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, OSAP SDGs, took a major step to provide succor to victims of such abuses with the commissioning of a 208-bed model transit facility in Ado-Ekiti, the capital of Ekiti State, on Thursday, 26 November 2020. The transit home for victims of domestic violence and abuse, which is equipped to provide lifelong skills that women and girls who have suffered violence can use to meet the demands of everyday life, was commissioned at a ceremony attended by Governor Kayode Fayemi, his wife Erelu Bisi, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajiya Sadiq Farouk, and the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, Princess Adejoke Orilokwe Adefulere, among other dignitaries. The sprawling facility contains an administrative block, a crèche, 250-seater conference hall, 200-room self-contained apartment, and a skills acquisition center for hairdressing, tailoring, photography, among others. Speaking during the commissioning, Princess Orilokwe Adefulere noted that the project was aimed at supporting women who have suffered abuse and violence to stand on their feet economically. She noted that the facility will aid the achievement of Goal 3, 5, 10, 16, and 17 of the SDGs.
This 208-bed transit home we are commissioning today is designed to support victims of violence and abuse in the Ekiti State, with all the needed help to live a normal life and be where they choose to be. SDG 5 is a standalone goal in its own right. Gender equality cut across all 17 SDG goals, and it is seen as a policy intervention that activates positive multiplier effects across sectors of development. Besides, achieving gender equality and realizing the human rights, dignity and capability of women and girls is a central requirement of just and suitable work. In the wisdom of the framer of SDGs, women and girls everywhere must have equal rights and opportunity and be able to live free of violence, free of discrimination and abuse. What we have done today should be the other way around, to keep women at home and find alternative place for men when they abuse their women and their wives. But to achieve this, we need a strong instrument, and going forward, especially with the possible amendment of the Nigerian Constitution, we will definitely achieve it. Men or women must be protected, they must be loved, they must be supported to be able to achieve their full potential, including growing their children and supporting their husbands.
The presidential aide also commended President Muhammadu Buhari and the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs for their commitment to improve issues involving women and the girl child. Orilokwe Adefulere, who urged state government to ensure that they mainstream SDGs into their plans and policies, commended the Ekiti State government for its commitment to the 2030 agenda.
The federal government is partnering with the the state government must note all the SDG goals as related to women. As we commission this facility by the Honourable Minister for Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development, along with the Governor of the state, we will ensure that we continue to prioritize. We want to appeal to the Governor of the state to continue to prioritize issues relating to women, as the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria is doing. I'm sure working together will give us a lot of mileage to protect women from further abuse, to empower women psychologically, politically, spiritually, and emotionally, so that they can achieve their full potential, support their husband, and nurture their children, and prepare them for the future.
In her own speech at the occasion, Hajiya Sadiya Umar Farouk described the facility as another evidence of commitment of President Muhammadu Buhari to the achievement of global goals. She also noted that the facility was commissioned at the right time, given recent indications that the COVID-19 pandemic has led to increase in gender-based violence. The minister assured that President Muhammadu Buhari's administration will continue to implement policies and initiatives that will ensure more protection for girls and women with introduction of a broader social investment program in support of vulnerable members of the Nigerian society. She also urged all stakeholders to work together to promote the rights of women and girls everywhere in Nigeria for a more gender-inclusive society where no one will be left behind. Also speaking during the event, Governor Fayemi said the facility is especially significant as it is coming on stream during the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence and will complement the State Sexual Assault Referral Center, popularly known as Moremi Clinic, commissioned the day before in the fight against gender-based violence. According to him, the transit home as a safe haven for women will also help the state not just to ensure that victims of gender-based abuse get justice, but to also provide succor to them. The governor noted that his administration has already signified its commitment to fight against gender-based violence with its naming and shaming policy as demonstrated by its sexual offenders register.
Today is indeed a great day, and this event is another milestone in our efforts to address the problem of gender-based violence in Ekiti State. I am particularly pleased to note that this event is taking place during the annual Global 16 Days campaign against gender-based violence that runs from November 25th to December 10th every year. This is another example of ways in which Ekiti is keen to demonstrate global best practices in the promotion and protection of the rights of women.
He added that violence against women is a serious violation of human rights with impacts ranging from physical, sexual, and mental consequences to even permanent disabilities for the victims.
Prime Minister, I'm here with you alongside other people to join you in commissioning what I consider to be a much more longer-term response to gender-based violence in our society, which is the Transit Home Shelter and Skills Acquisition Center for Women. This is a 200-bed facility designed to support victims of abuse in our state. A safe haven for our women.
Ekiti First Lady, who is also the chairperson of the State Gender-Based Committee, commended Princess Adejoke Orilokwe Adefulire and the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs for ensuring the completion of the project. Farouk also seized the opportunity to flag off the Rural Women's Cash Grant in Ekiti State with the distribution of cash to vulnerable women, with about 3,200 women from 16 local councils benefiting from the one-off cash grant of 20,000 naira each. the transit home, Ekiti State Government and OSAP SDGs also commissioned a total of 65 projects executed under the 2018 rounds of conditional grant scheme. Under the scheme, state and local governments access funding from the federal government for execution of projects that will enhance the health, education, and general socio-economic well-being of the people. A total of 65 projects selected after conducting the needs assessment of the communities in 4 local government areas spread across the 3 senatorial districts of the state were commissioned and handed over for the use of the people during the commissioning.
Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Specifically, Moba, Ijeru, Oye, and Ekiti Southwest local government areas were selected for the projects focused on addressing Goal 3, good health and well-being, Goal 4, quality education, and Goal 6, clean water and sanitation of 2030 agenda. Some of the projects include classrooms, boreholes, health centers, ambulances, VIP toilets, school furniture, and staff quarters for medical staff, among others. Speaking during the commissioning done at Ijuri, Ekiti, one of the beneficiary communities, Princess Orilokwe Adefulire noted that the CGS, which was initiated under the MDG's framework, has helped to bring development to the grassroots across the country, as all states have benefited from it. Highlighting the projects which were commissioned, the presidential advisor said, in the education sector, a total of 26 contracts, new construction and renovation of existing facilities were awarded, while 17 contracts, new contracts and upgrading of existing facilities were awarded in the health sector, making a total of 23 contracts. Also, 22 procurements were made to complement the construction and renovation works carried out in the education and health facilities in the 4 local government areas. She also advised the beneficiary communities to guard the project jealously to ensure that they deliver the intended purposes in terms of their expected contribution to improving the lives of the people. Earlier in his welcome address at the occasion, Honorable Biodun Omoleye, the Chief of Staff to Governor Fayemi, who is also the state chairman of the implementation committee of the SDGs, confirmed that all the 65 projects approved for Ekiti by OSAP SDGs were delivered 100%. He urged the beneficiary local government, relevant MDAs and town unions to come up with sustainability plan that will ensure functionality as well as endure lifespan of the projects.
This is just not one of those government projects that are just started and abandoned. The state office in Ado, the local government office in Noto, and of course the local maintenance committee in Noso, they are all in charge of this project. So I want to assure you that this will not be abandoned and will be properly maintained and serviced.
Traditional rulers present at the commissioning commended the OSAP SDGs and the presidential advisor for the delivery of the projects.
For us, we consider it a privilege, a rare privilege, to have this type of infrastructure in this community, which is made possible by your office. We appreciate you, we thank you very much, and we assure you that we will make good use of this infrastructure. It will not be a waste. And you will hear that yes, this project is well maintained, because we will not leave it to die. We will ensure that it's well maintained, taken care of, to the elevation of all, and you in particular, you will be happy that this kind of project is sited in the project.
In a similar vein, as part of its commitment to deliver on the targets of Goal 6, which seeks to improve the standard in water and sanitation, the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals recently commissioned a comprehensive water scheme in Abuja, one of the area councils of the Federal Capital Territory. Here is how the project has impacted the lives of the people in Abuja Area Council in the FCT.
Abuja, an area council in the Federal Capital Territory, is inarguably one of the oldest communities within the FCT, occupying a geographic space of about 992 square kilometers. and inhabited mainly by the Egbira, Gana, and Hausa people, majority of whom are farmers. Abuja is strategically located at the boundary between the FCT and Kogi State. Before now, the saying that water is life for the people of Abuja was a cliche very far from their realities. From Kekeshi to Nuku and Saparati, the story was the same. The Nareta River was the only source of water supply for a people with a population of over 250,000 residents. For many years, the Abuja people and its environs have suffered acute water shortages, largely due to the hydrology of the area, resulting in unsustainable availability. Over the past decades, government had made efforts at reducing the water challenges of these communities by drilling boreholes at strategic points to serve the people. These interventions were however short-lived due to the topography of the area, especially low water levels, which eventually results in the drying up of such boreholes. Olushade Adeshola, the permanent secretary in FCT, offered an insight.
The FCT administration has been grappling with the challenge of expanding infrastructure to the ever-growing population of Abuja residents, not only in the urban centers, but also across the satellite towns and villages.
It was in a bid to finding lasting solutions to the water problems in Abuja and its environs that the federal government, through the office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, in partnership with the Ministry of Federal Capital Territory and the Abuja Area Council, under the Conditional Grant Scheme, came together to deliver the comprehensive water scheme. The project, which has as parts of its key features an intake plant, filtering and treatment plant with aeration tank clarifier, high lift pumping, booster station, and distribution channel, is designed to provide Abuja and about 9 neighboring communities, including the newly built FCT University of Science and Technology, Abuja, with potable water.
The Abuja water supply project consists of an intake tower. The intake is located on the perennial river that comes all the way from Nuku into Abuja. So we extract our raw water from this very river, and the water is being pumped straight to the treatment plant. Our treatment plant capacity is 5,000 meter cubes per day, which translates to about 210 meter cubes per hour or 2,100 liters per hour. In terms of distribution, we have a water kiosk built around the communities where they could come and fetch water, treated water. Then residents that can afford water connections to their various houses, we also have it in plan to connect to their houses. Then all the breakaway tanks or overhead tanks built within the city for the borehole points, we are partnering with the area council to repair those tanks so that they can also serve the community. We are going to connect them to the distribution line where they will be connected to the distribution line, and the citizens also can come and fetch water from those places.
For now, the water supply in Abuja town and environment is very epileptic, based on boreholes, and boreholes are breaking down on and off. So it's good for the government to be sure that they have brought this project here, and it's going to improve their life standard, their water supply, and it's going to reduce tremendously even the waterborne diseases. It's going to impact very well on the citizens of this city. So it's an important project, and government has expended a lot of money.
This treatment treatment plants that will be commissioned today is to mitigate one of the challenges posed by inadequate infrastructure, particularly in our satellite towns. Therefore, our gathering here is a testimony to the FCT administration's commitment to improving the welfare and quality of life of our people in line with the mantra of the SDG of living no one alone.
According to the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, Princess Adejoke Orilope Adefulire, the laudable project is a product of many years of intense activity, hard work, and determination in the face of several twists and turns. The water project commenced in 2009 under the MDG's interventions, but was abandoned owing to paucity of funds. Though stalled for almost a decade, respite would come after the presidential advisor noticed the previous work done presented as an abandoned project in the media and immediately took up the responsibility to resuscitate and complete the project in line with President Muhammadu Buhari's ideology of continuity in government and the country's commitment towards the actualization of the SDGs in Nigeria. Minister of State for FCT, Dr. Ramatu Tijani Aliyu, while commissioning the project, expressed joy that the seemingly intractable problem of water shortage among the people of Abuja and its environs has finally been solved 10 years after the foundation of the historic project was laid.
The Abuja Area Council and its environs can now heave a sigh of relief and satisfaction as the way now have access to uninterrupted water supply in line with the World Health Organization and Nigerian drinking quality standard. I have no doubt that this will help to improve the health and economic condition of the Abuja people and other beneficiaries of this project.
Going by World Health Organizations and the Nigerian drinking quality standards, the Abuja Water Project commits to the actualization of SDG 6, dedicated to ensuring access to safe water sources and sanitation within the benefiting communities.
The Office of the Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals have immensely played a very vital role in what makes what we're witnessing today. Today, as an area council, we are very happy to see you in our midst, to witness what you have tirelessly, selflessly committed yourself in order to make the people of Abuja Area Council happy. We sincerely thank you.
Actually, we have been in problem of water in this village for decades of years. They have sat many boreholes that we don't see water in them. But at least this one now we are okay with it because it's being drawn from Abuja directly to this place. So we need more boreholes if they can sink more boreholes for us so that we'll have sufficient water. By the time 1 or 2 days, this one did not supply water, at least we are in great problem because in our streams we don't have water. So we are urging the government to come and do more for us, and we thank God for what they have done for us. May God bless them.
We are buying the water of drum, 300 naira each drum. But now, as they don't produce one, we will not buy again because we enjoy the water. Thank you. God will bless you now, and God will give you power. More now, still bring another one again. Who pass this one?
To ensure the sustainability of the project, Princess Adejoke Orilope Adefuliwe, solicited cooperation from the beneficiaries of the water project for ownership, protection, and proper maintenance of the facility, while assuring that her office will continue to step up effort to mobilize action for the SDGs to ensure that no one is left behind.
This is a mini water works that will service about 9 communities. And I urge the Federal Capital Territory Administration, Abuja Area Council, who are the direct beneficiary, to optimally utilize this facility, the device mentioned for sustainable use of this scheme. As government, despite the challenges of our time, we will continue to prioritize policies and programs in support of the achievement of SDG in Nigeria as we commence the decade of action for SDG. We must all step up our efforts so that no Nigeria will be left behind.
Remember, you can always watch this program and other episodes by subscribing to our YouTube channels on youtube.com/Fresh News TV and youtube.com/Agenda 2030 TV. You can also watch the program live on Facebook. Just log on to www.facebook.com/Fresh News NG and www.facebook.com/Agenda 2030 TV. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Agenda 2030 TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember to drop a comment and share with your contacts. Do use the hashtag Agenda 2030 and hashtag Agenda 2030 TV. And that is how much we can take on the program this week. Do keep it with us next week as we bring you another insightful episode. I am Toyin Kamian John. Thank you for staying with us.
Hello and welcome. It's time for another interesting package of
Everything Music.
Angelina, you cool my temperature. If you call, I go come deliver.
This is Talking Movies.
In times of old, the world was full of wonder.
Welcoming you to your weekend for today.
Alright, so come patrol. It's time to use our voice.
Beyond 6 packs.
Bills.
Pay the bills. Keep paying the telephone bills. Keep paying all my bills.
Welcome to Gallery.
Me and my parties.
London for what?
London for medicine.
Medicine for what?
Medicine for coffee.
Are you sickness?
To our illness. Welcome to Gist Zone.
Alright, my name is the Eselucien Wego One. Ona nyokoko nyonyo.
NTA News. When the news breaks, we mend it and present it without blemish. NTA News, authentic and authoritative.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Health Options, the very first in the brand new year of 2021. Health Options is the program that not only tracks government policies on health, but helps you with the information you need to make informed choices about your health. Thanks for joining us on the program, and it's good to see you in the new year. I am Rabi Abdullah. What readily comes to mind at the mention of the year 2020 is the coronavirus pandemic that engulfed the whole world, with the human race shaken to its core. In the midst of its attendant effects is the attention it brought to the health systems of nations like never before. We bring to you how the health sector, being the worst hit by the pandemic, fared, and other chains of events that shaped the year under review. The coronavirus outbreak reported in Wuhan province of China at the tail end of 2019 spread so fast like wildfire to other countries of the world.
The monumental losses that we were seeing at the beginning in China, which actually terrified us, and we wondered if we could cope with it. And we were lucky and also pleased to be getting help from so many partners, beginning with the UN group, and then other partners in China, and the European Union, who helped us with initial commodities and reagents to get started. At the same time, we built up a force to what we call the first line of defense, to check the importation, because it had to come in by very likely by air, to begin very early to screen all people arriving, to trace and track them, trace and track their movements, and do a testing for them, and trying to be as fast as possible in identifying the risks and risk bearers to make sure that we're able to protect our people.
The World Health Organization officially declared it as a pandemic in March 2020. On the 27th of February in the year under review, Nigeria announced its first case of COVID-19, an Italian national. That led to the stepping up of the federal government's efforts of prevention, containment, and other response strategies. For instance, from just 2 laboratories that could test for COVID-19 in the country, at the onset of the outbreak, the country moved to over 90 molecular laboratories located in all states of the Federation.
When the first case arrived on the 27th of February, we were able to follow up and identify 69 contacts, of which one was positive. So at that time, it was very efficient. It was very well done. The high point is, of course, the achievements we had, that we were able to actually show a relatively low curve of infections at the beginning, towards the middle, and the strengthening of the health system that we achieved in the course of that. It challenged health systems across the world, and that challenge actually also humbled us, because we saw how powerful health systems almost came to their knees, and that made us to look into our own health system and look at the weaknesses. At the beginning, we thought it was a question of ventilators. As a matter of fact, we also learned a lot of things along the way, because what we thought it was not. And what we didn't think is what it came to be. But we're able to strengthen our health systems. We have built more isolation centers, more ICU. We have trained a lot more people on intensive care medicine and nursing, and disease surveillance, risk communication. We have learned a lot along the way. We've strengthened our health system. We have increased the number of beds. We also corrected some mistakes we made at the beginning, which was almost neglecting the routine illnesses that already pre-existed, the routine treatment like immunization. We were able to correct all of that.
At the time COVID came in here, we had to share knowledge and experience, from China. Then, of course, we have to engage with WHO, we have to engage with Africa, CDC, with African Health Organization, that gathers countries in the ECOWAS region and all that. And, of course, under the AU, we're sharing on, all these things online. So, again, that's one of the gains of we were compelled, as it were, to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, you mentioned, the other agencies under like NIMA, Nigerian Institute of Medical Research. You know that NIMA, very early in the COVID outbreak, they were able to establish, in collaboration with some other institutions, the genetic sequence of the COVID virus, yes, which was established to be the same with that of Wuhan in China. And that's and of course they just developed this rapid test kit that can give results in less than 40 minutes, as opposed to hours under the and so also PCR based. So that's from Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, and then of course you know that NIPRID is also the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research and Development. You recall that when the COVID organics were brought from Madagascar, it was NIPRID, one of the agencies, under my supervision as Minister of State. They came up with and gave us findings that has really attracted attention all over the world, and we were able to say that these are the findings on this COVID organics.
2020 was also a year that made a lot of Nigerians wake up. It was a wake-up call for Nigerians. We had articulated and propagated the concept of medicine security, which argues that unless as a people you're able to determine how your drugs and pharmaceuticals and phytomedicines are manufactured and distributed, as a people you will not be able to determine how well your population has access to sustainable, affordable, high-quality healthcare. And for years, when we were arguing medicine security, people ignored us because it was cheaper and more and easier to get products from Asia and from Europe. But COVID-19 sort of told the whole world that we were right. Because what you had was disruptions of global supply chains. What you had were countries being selfish, saying, I will look after my own people first before I go to look after Africans. What we had were countries banning the export of things like APIs to countries who had no capacity to manufacture. I'm glad now medicine security is now on everybody's, is now on the tip of everybody's tongue. So where do we go from this realization? Here in NIPRID, what we've started to do is we've started to ramp up the products that are coming out of NIPRID. Currently, I think we now have a threefold increase in registered products from NIPRID. We have somewhere between 10 and 20 products under development. At NAFDAC application for listing, I think we have a few more products there. So we're ramping up the output of research efforts from NIPRID.
The second wave of the pandemic was to come on the heels of what was believed to have been controlled gains over it between the months of August and October in the country.
We were looking forward to a new year full of hopes and aspirations of a building process that we were carrying out at the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, being a relatively new parastatal. When in January we started hearing this news coming out of China, and who would have thought that this would be where we would be at this point, a pandemic that has taken the whole world by storm. and really had an incredible impact in Nigeria as well. Even if we have not had as many cases as people predicted, the economic impact, the impact on our way of life has been so fundamental. So I think the first reflection on this, given that we're still really in the middle of this pandemic, is how important it is to focus on health security as an existential threat. You know, it's very difficult sometimes to associate a risk with things we don't see, right? When you see fires and accidents, unfortunately, we have as humans a visual perception of that risk. But for things like viruses that we don't see, prior to this pandemic, it was very difficult to convince Nigerians, in fact, around the world, that there is an existential threat caused by these little things. So I think, unfortunately, the global community, including Nigerians, have learned the hard way about what a virus can cause and how disruptive it can be. And as we begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel with the emergence of a vaccine, even though we don't have it yet, but we are working towards it, and some countries have started using it. I hope that collectively we have recognized that it is important to really understand and invest in prevention and detection and response of these viruses, and understand that this is really an existential threat that must be prepared for. And we can't do more than we have done in the past. We must learn from the events of this year and build up that health security agenda for our country and the world.
The most topical issue around COVID-19 at the moment is the vaccines that scientists have been able to develop.
Nigeria and 91 other economies are plugged into the COVAX facility. This is a groundbreaking initiative of the global community led by the World Health Organization, Gavi, the Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness and Innovations, are coming together with a lot of donors like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to make sure that some critical number of vaccines are made available to low and middle income countries like Nigeria, so that irrespective of our ability to pay, we're still able to access these vaccines. At least at a minimum, that we should be able to get for 20% of our population, especially those people who are the highest risks. So we're talking about people like health workers who are in the front lines, their support staff. We're talking about people who are very vulnerable, like people who have other diseases such as cancers, immunosuppression, people who have diabetes or hypertension. These people suffer more when they contract COVID-19. So we're going to be prioritizing those people, but also people who are in the prisons, the military forces, people in the front lines, people who are above, they are 50 and above. Those are the people that the data shows that they are likely to suffer a worse fate if they are to contract the virus. So in that type of global community where vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines are being made available to countries on an equitable basis, making sure that everybody has access, that right there is the way to stop the transmission of COVID-19 globally.
Historically, funding of research has been an intractable problem in our setting, and government has actually done well by directing the Central Bank of Nigeria to put forward a multi-billion naira grant specific for phytomedicines and vaccines research. It is a grant, and it is government's way of saying that we are prioritizing phytomedicinal development development in Nigeria. We are prioritizing vaccines research in Nigeria. So what you need to do is articulate your argument and then put it forward to the board of experts who will assess it and determine if your proposal aligns with national priorities in those key areas. And once they align, you get the grant. Obviously, there will be a monitoring and evaluation framework to ensure that the grant is actually used to achieve the objectives for which it was set out to achieve.
Because at some point in the polio eradication program, we did not engage early enough with the gatekeepers, with the traditional leaders and other critical stakeholders. We suffered some setbacks, right, with anti-oral polio vaccination, proponents, and that made us slow down in the mid-2000s. But we retraced our steps and began to engage with community leaders, and that is why we've been able to, overcome vaccine hesitancy. And with the COVID-19 outbreak, this is exactly what we're seeing again, that even before the vaccines are available, there are people who are already saying they are not going to take it. Now, this is an important moment that we must not forget how, as a country, we're able to overcome vaccine hesitancy around polio eradication. We have to use exactly the same types of strategies to get people to accept COVID-19. And what are those strategies? It means, as public health workers, as scientists, as medical officers, that we have to listen. We have to listen to the community members. We have to listen to the population, ask them what their concerns are, and put in the right time and resources to explain what the COVID-19 vaccine is about, the relationship between COVID-19 as a pandemic and how we're trying to stop transmission with the vaccine. Now, if we're able to do this, then I feel pretty confident that people will come around. Not all Nigerians are epidemiologists, not all Nigerians are vaccinologists, right? So part of our work will be to explain to people, to communicate very, very clearly what the vaccines are about.
Today, Nigeria is able to speak to the eradication and the elimination of wild polio virus. Why? Because the media played a central role in it. At the middle of the crisis, the media was there when some Nigerians rejected the vaccine, and the media was used as a strategic tool to try and convince Nigerians of the fact that the vaccine was potent and the vaccine is okay for children, as against other people, as against other theories that said, the vaccine was not good for children. Having said that, today, as we recognize Nigeria as a wild polio virus-free country, the media is also celebrated, having played its part strategically to build confidence amongst people, particularly parents in some parts of the northern part of this country, to accept the vaccine. And when they did, the result is what we are all celebrating today. And same it will be for COVID-19. Of course, there are all kinds of conspiracy theories around the efficacy and efficiency of the vaccine. But I'm sure that this is a time in our lives that science has come to bring a circle. And looking at that, the media has a strategic role to play to ensure that, particularly in this part of the country, in this part of the world, where our health system is weak, we really don't have too much of a choice but to go for what is preventable. And since the vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine, has been said, to be able to limit at least the risks involved in a COVID-infected patient, then I think the media has a role to play. We have the role to play to build confidence in the society, to build trust for the usage of the vaccine, and more than anything else, to be able to bring forth, if there are adverse effects, it will be the media that will be able to speak to it, amplify it, so that people would know what to do and not what to do.
Scientists should be commended that within this short period of time, a vaccine is available, because history shows that it has never been this fast to develop vaccine for anything. If you remember when COVID-19 started, the prediction was that it was going to take at least 18 months to begin to have something semblance to vaccine for COVID-19. But you know, knowledge is improving and technology is also advancing, and as these things happen, some things become easier to do. To put any drug in the market for people to use, it must undergo clinical trials. You see, because during clinical trials, it is a controlled system where physicians and other clinical trial team members will ensure that people are monitored carefully, not just for efficacy, but also for side effects.
The health sector in 2020 was not all about the coronavirus. There was a breath of fresh air, as Nigeria became the last African country to be declared free from wild polio virus, a feat achieved through the strongest political will at the highest level.
This comes as the culmination of several decades of sacrifices, of leadership, of consistency, of partnerships. We did not take our eyes off the ball while we celebrated white polio virus free as status.
Health insurance also received a boost following the formal launch of an initiative known as the Group Individual and Family Social Health Insurance Scheme, GIFSHIP. The unveiling of the roadmap to Nigeria's health sector development in 2021 and beyond is one of the opportunities the country is latching on to rebuild the Nigerian health system as it battles the second wave of COVID-19, as well as ensuring that the new strain of the virus, considered to be more virulent, does not find its way to the shores of the country.
Vaccines will not necessarily substitute for what we need to do. Vaccines should just be an added value. But we must do what we need to do. And that's why we continue to hammer on the need for compliance in terms of the advisories.
The health system itself is still a work in progress. The health insurance is key to that in being able to mobilize resources to be able to take care of payment for persons, use the basic healthcare provision fund to take care of the poor and vulnerable, and allow citizens to also pay a very modest amount for a comprehensive package of health services. And we are working on developing the tertiary system also, working with consultants to find how we can make them more efficient, how we can get better results, better outcomes for what government invests into them.
And that was how it had been with the health sector in 2020. As we look forward to a better 2021, remember to play your own part of prioritizing your health and observing the safety protocols against COVID-19. You can go to our YouTube channel to watch the upload of these and other episodes of the program. Email us for your comments and contributions at healthoptions@nta.gov.ng. My name is Rabi Abdullah. It's bye for now.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
From the largest television network in Africa, the NTA, we bring to you Weekend File, where we seek the views of experts, government functionaries, movers of the economy, and the ordinary Nigerian on developmental challenges confronting the nation in an era of diversification, the process that is meant to reinvigorate all aspects of our national life in education, science, technology, and innovation, agriculture, health, and other aspects of societal development. The Weekend File crew has the onerous task of articulating all the issues, ensuring that all perspectives are brought to the table. On the show, all things matter and opinions of every class count. Weekend File shows every Saturday at 9 p.m. on the NTA network service. It is your weekend companion and a destination for news, views, and analysis. It is unmissable.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Coronavirus, where the nickname na COVID-19, it not be big man who sickness, so if it catch anybody, according to World Health Organization, WHO, where then they call WHO, make I show you how the disease they take spread.
Oga travel go abroad, come back with symptoms of COVID-19 infection. As he land for airport, driver go carry and come house. His wife and pikin welcome am. Cook arrange food for Oga. Houseboy and housegirl pack Oga load enter house. Na so Oga begin spread this infection to him people. Driver go mechanic workshop, go spread am. Cook go open market to go buy one or two things. She go spread am too. Even house cleaner go back her house, go spread the same infection. Now so
Hello and thanks for joining us on the news update at 11 on NTA News 24. I am Comfort Amodu. The president has reiterated that every citizen has the right to freedom of speech and expression, own property and reside in any part of the country, and the right to move freely without any inhibitions, among others. This is contained in a reaction to the ultimatum by Sokoto-based group asking Most Reverend Matthew Hassan Kuka to tender unreserved apology over what they called malicious comments
or leave the state. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, who signed the statement, said it is the duty of the government, more so this democratic government. Some 1,398 new cases of coronavirus has been recorded in 22 states under FCT, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 103,999 in Nigeria. And out of the new infections, Lagos reported 542, the FCT 131, Oyo 120, Rivers 113, Plateau 111, Kaduna and Kwara 71 each, Akwa Ibom 34, Sokoto 31, Benue 28, Ogun 27, Kano 26, Kebbi 17, Osun 12, Nasarawa has 11, and Delta and Gombe 10 each, Bayelsa and Borno 9 each, Edo 8, Ekiti 3, while Jigawa and Katsina confirmed new cases each. Lagos, the FCT, Plateau and Kaduna are top on the breakdown of the cases per state, with 20,062 active cases being managed across the country. Altogether, 82,555 have been discharged so far, with some 1,382 deaths on record. The Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole has dealt another blow on Boko Haram terrorists operating in the northeast of the country, with the destruction of no fewer than 3 gun trucks and neutralization of several insurgents at the Mainok in Borno State. Coordinator, Directorate of Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche, says NAF helicopter gunships engaged a convoy of Boko Haram terrorist gun trucks and logistics vehicles, resulting in the destruction of 3 of the Boko Haram terrorist vehicles, and some of which were seen engulfed in flames. And several of the terrorists were also eliminated in the process. That ends the news highlight for now. Another update comes up at 1. Many thanks for watching.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Gone are the days when formal education was the only emphasis for young people in Nigeria. The new trend is skill acquisition, in addition to any course of study in school. Many young people, including bakers who have vocational skills, are not just doing great, but are employers of labor. You're watching Baker's World on NTA. I am Funke Oyele. Many thanks for watching. This episode offers an opportunity to explore bread and pizza recipe. If you have any interest in starting a baking business, this is a must-watch for you. Our guest is a professional baker who has been able to translate our hobby into a baking career. You'll get to know more about her in our conversation segment. All these and more for you on the show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Bread is a snack to some. while a great number of people love it as a staple food. Today on this segment, our guest baker, Olusolakpe, and our assistant will be showing us how to make pizza, sardine bread, and burger buns. I'm sure you won't want to miss this. If you're ready, let's hand over to our baker now.
Before we start baking today, we're going to wash our hands because we're using our hands for a lot of things that we'll be doing. For our sardine rolls and our burger bun, we have a 7-ingredient recipe. This is my second ingredient. I stir 50 grams of sugar, a tablespoon of yeast, a tablespoon of salt to my flour. While I pour my flour, salt into the liquid mixture, my assistant will measure out for me 90 grams of margarine. At this point, my mixture is getting thick. I'm going to add my margarine to help soften the thick mixture while I use my hand to complete the mixing. And then I can add my remaining flour gradually. At this point, I will transfer my mixture to my mixer to mix using my dough hook to complete the kneading process. My dough is ready, so I'm just going to cover it and keep in a warm place for it to proof before we move to the next stage. The pizza dough is what we are looking at next. I will start by measuring my water into my bowl. I add 3 tablespoons of oil. Let's measure 375 grams of flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, then my yeast. Lastly, we're going to add our salt. Time to add my flour and salt into my water. I'm going to use my dough hook to knead. Our pizza dough is not as stiff as a lot of other bread do. So we're going to add a little oil to our pan before we transfer our dough. I set my dough aside for proofing. Now our dough is ready and proofed. As you can see, I'm going to knock it down to knock out the air. I bring it out onto my work table. A little flour here so that it will not stick to my table. We're going to be making burger buns from this as well as sardine rolls. Our burger buns works with precision in the weight. So I'm going to use my scale to measure 100 grams each. Each burger bun will be 100 grams. I have 400 grams each here. I'm going to roll it into a ball shape. When molding your dough for any bread, you have to ensure that your dough is tight so that the under of your burger bun will be smooth. You roll it, rub it on your surface. Roll it, rub it on your surface so that the under will be smooth. When baking your burger bun, please bear in mind you need a spacious pan. Your burger buns need space so that they can come out individually. I'm going to also flour my pan lightly. Flouring my pan. This pan can take about 6 or 8 burger buns. I'm going to spread out this 4 that I have here from this particular mix. You can see that the buns are well spaced so that they can bake evenly and individually. This I set aside to prove again before baking. The proving this time around would be a mild one, not as long as the first time. I told you that the sardine roll would not require precision like your burger buns. So I'm just going to shear my dough into 6. So you can see I've sheared my dough into 6, not necessarily measuring them. At this point, my assistant will bring the sardine while I flatten the dough. He's going to drop a little sardine in each. We're adding sardine to the center of our dough. Now, I'm going to fold them over. Please bring the pan. I'm rolling my dough into balls before I start to arrange into my pan. When rolling into ball, make sure your sardine is not exposed and make a neat ball. If your sardine shoots out at any point, you will not get a round shape when your bread is baked. You can see my neat balls. If you weren't told, you wouldn't know that they contain sardine. I would arrange my rolls into my 8-inch pan. My assistant will set it aside to proof for about 20 minutes. Our pizza dough has also doubled in size. It is proofed. We're going to prepare the toppings before we put the dough in our pan. So that's our cheese. He's grating it using the small size of the grater. Our pizza topping will be our beef and our sausage meat. So I'm going to cut it into bits. Remember, you can garnish your pizza with whatever you will. Next, I prepare my sauce. The choice of sauce for your pizza is also at your discretion. It could be Italian dressing, oyster dressing. Today, however, I'm going to be combining 1 or 2. Here with me, I have my barbecue sauce. I'm going to add in my tomato ketchup. Then I'm adding my sweet, spicy sauce. Thereafter, I mix the 3 together. Next, we're going to be cutting our vegetables. We're going to be cutting our onions. We have our bell pepper, which I'll cut myself. You can see that our dough has proved further. We are ready to put it in our pan. Please bring the 2 pans. Before we put our dough in our pan, we are going to oil the pan generously with our oil, not margarine this time around. You can see that my dough is soft but not sticky to my pan because my pan was well oiled. You can see I'm sprinkling a little flour to firm up my dough. I'm taking the measurement because I'm going to share into 2. You can see my dough is very soft. All I need to do is to spread my dough so that it covers the surface of my pan. We start with our sauce for the toppings. Be generous with your sauce. That is what gives your pizza the unique taste. Thereafter, we add our cheese. Remember, we grated it. We add our vegetable, the onions and the bell pepper. We add our sausage or chicken franks, as it is called. Next will be our shredded beef, our minced beef. And we garnish further with our sauce. That is what gives your pizza the unique taste. Lastly, we add our cheese. Our pizza is ready to go into the oven.
While our dough is in the oven, we'll take a quick break here, and when we're back, we'll be having a chat with our guest baker. Please don't go anywhere.
When I realized that I had a passion that wouldn't go away for baking, and when I realized also that people appreciated the work, the cakes I made for them, and were willing to part with some money for it.
Our guest today is a creative and pleasant baker. Oluwasholape Bamijoko is a microbiology graduate, born in Lagos State on the 16th of January 1972. She obtained her first degree from the University of Ibadan in 1994 and proceeded to the University of Lagos, where she bagged her master's degree in humanitarian and refugee studies in 2002. This amiable baker's interest in the culinary world stemmed from watching a family menu program on the Nigerian Television Authority as a young girl in the 80s. She is a wife and mother of 3 children. Her brand, Creative Fingers, has produced cake and confectionaries for events and milestone celebrations. Join us as we welcome our guest baker, Oluwasholape Bamijoko.
You're welcome back. You're still watching Baker's World on NTA. Today I have with me our guest baker. She's a woman who turned her hobby into a baking business. She's a woman who is used to making hot cake, and now today she's become a hot cake in the baking business herself. You're welcome to the program, madam.
Thank you.
Your career today.
As